Generally speaking, agreements between close family members are regarded as social agreements, which are not enforceable in the courts. However, this is a presumption, not a rule. Because it's a presumption, it's rebuttable by bringing forward evidence that the parties did intend for their agreement to be enforceable in the courts. Sometimes this is done simply by the parties stating in the agreement that they intended for it to be enforceable in court. Sometimes, though, it can be inferred from the circumstances of the contract. In this case, the defendant was an ageing but rich man living in Bowral, south of Sydney, in 1940. He was getting on and he was finding it difficult to obtain the domestic help that he needed around the house. He had a sister living in London and she had a husband who was a lecturer at Cambridge University. He wrote to her asking for them to basically give up their lives and possessions in London and come to Australia to look after him. In return, he promised to provide them with somewhere to live and an income, and then he would will all of his property to them after his death. They asked for clear assurances about all of this because they were being asked to give up a very great deal. He gave them assurances and even went so far as to send them a copy of his new will. They arrived in Australia in 1947, and a year or so later there were some minor disputes within the family. The defendant, the old man, called off the contract. He sold the house and had them booted out, leaving them high and dry. They sued and were awarded £12,000. The defendant appealed partly on the basis that this was a social and non-enforceable agreement. Chief Justice Street said, "I think that there is ample evidence that the plaintiffs were insistent on having the matter put on a clear footing and in the form of a legal bargain between them before they agreed to come out to live in Australia. The consequences for the plaintiff were so serious that I think the parties did intend to enter into a binding and enforceable contract. This case confirms that while family agreements are presumed not to be enforceable, this presumption can be rebutted."